everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm so glad you're joining me. Well, I have a fun project to share with you for Pinkfresh Studio. We're going to be using a die set called Cherry Blossoms. I love cherry blossoms and I love that these are layerable. We're going to be using the coordinating cherry blossom stencil to color in our blooms. This one is a two-piece stencil, so it's very easy coloring. And then for my background, we're going to be using a press plate. This is the Dotted Petals press plate. Now, all three of these items are from the brand new Pure Joy release. I hope you get a chance to check it out. We're going to start off by doing a little bit of stenciling. We're going to stencil first and then die cut. We'll take this out of the package. I'm going to take my first stencil, which is the branch, and I'm going to color it in with some gray inks. Normally you'd go brown for branches, but I want to switch it up and use some gray inks. So I have Rocky Slope, and then I also have Metropolis. I'm going to start with Rocky Slope, and I'm going to be using my 1/2 inch blending brush just to lightly go over it. I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my stencil, and then we're going to take just a slightly darker gray ink, and I'm just going to go over some certain areas, adding a little bit of darker shading to my branch here. Basically, we'll just do a little highlighting. And I think that's going to work out great. We have some light areas and some dark areas. I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my stencil. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this, set this aside, and we're going to bring in our blooms next. For my next stencil, it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but this is actually sectioned off. And it tells you what, this is color 1. This will tell you color 2, color 3, and color 4. So I'm going to take this, we'll tack it down to the grip mat. I'm going to mask off the leaf portion of my stencil with some post-it note tape. And then using my light green ink, this is Fresh Pear. My dark green ink is Lush Forest. I'm going to start with the light. We'll add some color. Since we're going light to dark, I'm not going to bother wiping off my stencil. I'm going to go directly in to my Lush Forest. And I'm going to do a little highlighting with this. I love these two colors together. I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my stencil, and then we're going to remask the floral part. For the first set of blooms, I'm going to be using Ballet Slipper, and I'm just going to basically lightly go over my blooms. I definitely want some white areas to the blooms. So we're just going to go lightly over here. Next, I'm going to mask off the second set of blooms. And using that same Ballet Slipper, I'm going to add some color here. This is going to be layered right on top of the other blooms. So I'm going to basically do the same thing. I want some white showing on here. And I think that's just the right amount. Okay, and then we have the stamen for the blooms. I'm just going to flip this around. And for that, I'm going to be using a light gray. This is Misty Coast. And I'm going to go ahead and add some gray stamen to our blooms here. And that is all there is to it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the mask, and I'm going to remove the stencil. Now all we have to do is die cut, so I'm going to take the coordinating dies. I'm going to go ahead and line them up. The nice thing is this is one piece, so you just line this up and you are ready to go. I'm going to run these through my die cut machine and I will be right back. I have everything die cut, and I do want to mention that when you die cut, I don't know if you can probably tell best on the leaves, that you do have a little wiggle room for lining them up. These die edge to edge, and I love that. And the same goes with the branch portion. You can see the outline. You have a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to lining it up, and I love that, okay? And I love that it's edge to edge. Okay, let's go ahead and put together. I want to add a little bit of dimension to my blooms. And then using my embellishment tool, I'm going to take the small layering blooms and I'm just going to draw a circle basically in the middle of these. And what it's going to do, this is a mini stylus at the tip of your embellishment tool. You can actually curl. So that's what I'm going to do here. All you have to do is go in a circle motion with your embellishment tool and it will curl up those petals. Same with the stamen. Just going to draw a little circle. And this is just a foam pad. If you have a foam pad from your stamping positioner, you can use that. It just helps curl up. Okay, I have them lined up in the order that I want them to be layered. But I want to tell you that there is no right or wrong when it comes to layering your blooms. For example, this center could go to this center. It's just preference. And I'm basically using my packaging as a guide on how to put them together. So I'm going to start by adding a little dot of glue. And then I'm going to add the detail layer of my bloom. And then I'll add another dot of glue. And then we can add our stamen piece. Like so. And then we just repeat the process and we can do it actually pretty quickly. And then we add some more. Of course, if you're going to mail these, they will flatten, but I think that if you're going to add it just to a package without the envelope, I think that's just beautiful. So those are my blooms. Okay, for this one, we're going to add a little extra glue at the very base. And then we're going to add this next layer here. Oops. We're going to add a little dot of glue, and this stamen should fit right in the center here. Okay, and then these are just one layer. Now I want to put these over here. I'm going to be using the package. I love the way this looks on the packaging, but of course you can mix and match. It doesn't have to be exactly like the package. But I'm going to go ahead and add dots of glue to these upside down teardrop shapes. And you'll see what I'm left with are some circle shapes. Those are where we're going to put the blooms. So let's go ahead and add our leaves. And you just line up the bottom of the leaf on the stem and it lines up beautifully. So all my leaves are adhered. Now we're going to go ahead and add our blooms. So I'm just going to add dots of glue to those circle areas. So we have 7 dots of glue. I don't know if you can tell where we go. And then we have 7 flowers. Now this is where you can mix and match wherever you want your blooms to go. So those are my cherry blossoms, and I did switch the flowers up a little bit. You can see the largest one is here, and I put the largest one over here, but switching it up is fun too. Okay, now we're going to put this aside, and we're going to work on our background. For our background, I mentioned we're using a press plate. So let's take our dotted petals. I'm using just regular cardstock, and then I'm going to add my plate to the center here. We are going to do some better pressing with Misty Coast ink, and I'm just going to go over my background here. Misty Coast is a real nice gray. It's the same gray that we used for our flowers. I'm going to run this through my die cut machine really quickly. And isn't that beautiful? I just love the impression. It's so nice and crisp. I love this. But if you prefer using the cotton card panels to do your letterpressing, Pinkfresh Studio has them in their shop also. Okay, I like frames on my cards, so today we're going to be creating a frame using the Pinkfresh Studio stitched scalloped rectangles. I'm just going to take a piece of white cardstock, and using the smaller set, this has stitch detail on an inside edge and outside edge. It actually creates two frames, but I like the look of it together. I'll show you what I mean when I die cut this out. I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. Okay, you see here, they're actually two separate pieces. Kind of a 2-for-1, but I do like the way it looks together. So I'm going to keep it together. I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to use foam tape to secure them both together. I'm going to remove the release paper off of the frame that I created here. And this is going to go in the middle of my card. Once we have our frame adhered, I have a tag and I have a greeting that says, "My heart is so full." These are from the Pinkfresh Studio's journaling bits. This is the Bouquet Garden journaling bits. Lots of real fun elements in here. And I thought we'd bring an extra color using these. So I'm going to start by taking some twine and thread it through my tag here. We're just going to take some natural twine, thread it through the tag, and I always like to tie my bows that go with the tag after it's adhered. I put some foam tape behind here. So I'm just going to remove some release paper, and I'm going to tuck this tag at the very bottom of my frame. I'm going to place this tag right in the middle of that frame that we created, and then I will go ahead and tie a bow with it. I'm going to go ahead and take the greeting that says, "My heart is so full," and the fishtails are a little bit longer than an A2 size card. So what I'm going to do is trim it a little bit. I want to take my greeting, and we're just going to place this at the very bottom of our tag, kind of centering it. I put foam tape behind my cherry blossoms. Now for the star of the show, we're going to go ahead and layer this. I'm going to layer it right over my greeting. And kind of adjust it here so I don't obstruct my sentiment. And for finishing touches, I'm going to bring in a little sparkle. We have the Pinkfresh Studio jewels. These are the GLACIER jewels. Let's go ahead and add some gems to the center of the flowers. I'll just add a small dot of glue. And that will finish off my card today for Pinkfresh Studio. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.